All right, guys, welcome to the James Hogan podcast. Today, I have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Rob Costomiris. He is the president of MyOhm Equity, a portion of the MyOhm spider web of real estate and equity and finance and all that good stuff. He's flipped over 600 houses in the past 20 years, and he's an overall great guy. I met him at a networking event around a year ago now, and we've stayed in touch through social media. So, Rob, how's it going?
Yeah, how are you? Thanks for having me. And it was actually a year, like last week, I think.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I got the flashback. I think you actually texted me
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
we met about
yeah.
a
It
year
popped
ago.
up
Yeah,
one day, and I
yeah.
only know it because that was the day that we were at a steakhouse. I'll be the first one to admit it. And I ordered tuna. You guys all made fun of me. And then 2 days later, Tony calls me up and he goes, "You know how we were making fun of you for ordering tuna at the steakhouse?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I got gout." I go,
That's
"I guess you're not
funny.
laughing that I was ordering tuna now." He goes, "Nope, now I'm going to be that guy."
Yeah.
See?
Hey, that's hilarious. That was a great group of people with Joey the lawyer. That was
Yeah.
fully some that was a really good night. So anyway, let's talk about business. Let's talk about real estate. So what is MyOhm? What exact I know you guys are in the private equity space. What
Mhm.
is MyOhm exactly? What are you guys doing?
So my own group is an overall umbrella of different companies. It consists of my own equities, my division, I guess you could say, my
Okay.
own commercial lending. Those are the two real money makers right there.
Cool.
We have
Okay.
my own affordable homes, my own properties, and then there's what we call National Foreclosure Group. And it's not what it sounds like. We'll buy up non-performing loans and we'll help people stay in the properties. We help them get back on track if they're willing to. If they're not willing to, then we'll just give them expenses to get out of the property. And so we're very, I guess you could say, forgiving in that sense. We try to
Yeah.
help people get back on track.
100%. Now, so let's, I guess, just talk about that. So, for example, I have somebody, obviously won't name names, addresses, things like that, but I have somebody who hasn't paid their mortgage in about a year. They want to stay in a home, their home, single mom, they have a family. I want to help them legitimately, not trying to take them out of their house and stuff like that. Also want to make money on a distressed property. So how does that work with you guys doing that? Do you guys get deeded onto the property? Do you guys assume the mortgage and just then rent it to them? Like, how does it work?
It depends on how they want to work it. If the bank's willing to sell us the mortgage, we'll buy it and work with them. If it's like a personal loan or something, we'll speak to the people who they have the money with, and we'll try to assume the debt, and we usually will take over the property. We'll try and lower their payments, extend it out, whatever we have to do
Right.
to keep them on. That's assuming they want to fix it. Some people, believe it or not, don't want to fix it. But let's just use your example for a case. Yeah, we could extend it, lower the payments until they get back on their feet, get back to their jobs, whatever it is. We try and help them out. Try to get creative with it too.
I
Um,
love that.
but
Yeah.
we will we'll be the on the deed for the property. We'll be the first thing. We'll be the lien holder.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll have first position on everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Because I tried to get a second position loan out of you guys. It didn't
yeah,
happen.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah, so I mean,
By the way, he didn't dig deeper into you. He should have kind of spoken to you a little bit more. I laid into him for that, saying
that's okay.
you got to ask him what he's looking for. You got to ask him, yes, he wants a second position loan, but how's his first one structured? And so he didn't really dig in as well as he could have. So
That's okay. Look, we're both staying in business. I'm sure we're gonna do a
yeah,
lot of
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
going
just like to
forward.
help people out. That's all. If there's a way to help somebody out, and I just know a lot of, and he's a younger kid, so he only went for the, oh, you need a bridge loan, so let me try and help you out with that.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it happens. No hard feelings. We got the deal closed actually on Monday.
Yeah, I saw that. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be a good project. We're actually possibly thinking about instead of flipping it, just fixing it, basically burying it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That might be the play for that one. But yeah. So you guys are vertically integrated. My own group is vertically integrated, and that is something that's really interesting to me. So talk about how you guys have vertically integrated the business.
So I'm going to talk about my division because I know it the best, obviously. But
Of course.
we are the private equity. It's all private equity, but mine's the real where most of the money goes to, and comes back to us in the best ROI, if you will. And what we are is we're distressed asset private equity. We look for properties that are undervalued. We actually have a proprietary technology that uncovers these properties about a 60% discount to what the assumed market value is. Once we find these properties, we'll usually make an offer 10, 15, 20% below. We'll have an inspector or a contractor go in, just make sure the scope of work is within our realm of making money. If it is, then we'll close on the property, fix it up, and then we sell it off. We use debt institutions, like you were saying, how you were doing yours, to assume 85 to 90% of the property and construction costs. And then we have investors come alongside of us, and we pay a nice little return for allowing us to use their funds. And then that's the single family. That's our foundational business. That's where most of our money is coming from right now. I wouldn't say it's cash flow, but it's where a lot of our
It's good income.
it comes from. And then we're getting into the commercial side. We just closed on a commercial deal out in Dallas, Texas.
Let's go.
We bought 2 or 3 acres, and we're putting up a 1 structure and 5 townhouses. We're looking at 2 other properties out there. We're looking at another property up here in Mount Kisco, and then 1 in Yonkers. For those are all development deals, but we're also looking at some multifamily, and as we just spoke off camera, some warehousing deals as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I love every aspect of what you guys are doing, from the flipping to the warehouse, like we talked about. Obviously, everyone wants to be a developer, and multifamily is probably my next thing I'm going to get into. So all this stuff is really interesting to me. What was also interesting to me, and I don't know how much you can talk about it, is this proprietary technology you have. Can you talk about that at all?
Of course.
I picture some kind of Wall Street algorithm, numbers digging and everything going. How does that work?
No, it's literally, if you saw on one of my, I did a post on it, and it's literally just a computer that's got lines of information, and it says, let's say 123 Main Street. Let's just call it 3 bedrooms. And it'll say, I forgot what it doesn't say approved. It says something else. And it's got a little green dot next to it, and that means it goes on to the next level. Takes, what do you use? Zillow's, Homes.com, like the MLS system, right? You have a client that comes to you and says they want, well, you're in the Hamptons, so it's like $40 million houses, but
or 2 or 3, but yeah.
No, I'm kidding. So you'll take like 3 bedroom, 1 bath, minimum, and I'm just using what we have, minimum 1,000 square foot for the property, 1,000 square feet. One big thing that we have is a minimum population of 8,000 within, I forgot what the square mileage is, but these are all different criterias. I call them guardrails that we plug into the program, and we actually have raw data coming into it for all the houses that are out there, that are in REO, or people that are listing off market. We have different ways of getting our data. I think there's 3 different sources that we subscribe to, and we get the raw data. It's not like we subscribe to homes.com and get that information from there. It's completely raw data, comes into our system, filters it out. If it meets all of our criteria, and the biggest one is that it's a 60% discount for what the market value is. Once it hits all those, then it'll pop up on an analyst screen. Very similar, and I keep referring to Zillow. I know realtors hate Zillow, but it's got that look of Zillow to have 2 properties here, I think it's like 6 on the screen, shows you what the price is, what they're asking for it, and then how many bedrooms, how many baths, and everything like that. Then the analyst goes through it, make sure it's a real property, making sure that it's a real structure, making sure that it's not just 2 pieces of 2x4 that are sitting there that somebody started on the house, that it's something we could work with. And then we'll make an offer. And then I'm getting way off on tangent because you only asked me about the technology. But
no, it's okay. No, you're good. I like it. I got all day. I'm learning. I'm writing notes down on this, by the way.
Yeah. So that gets us probably like 50 to 60% of our properties. And then we have analysts out right now. Today, there's an analyst out there for foreclosures. I was just speaking to one of our analysts early this morning, and he does land banks. And then we have 2 more starting on Monday, which is land development. And tax deeds is the other one that's starting.
Tax deeds. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's.
You know about tax deeds?
Not
tax liens, tax deeds.
No, I don't know about it. I've heard about tax liens, but I don't even really know about that either.
Yeah, we could get into it now. And Florida's a big state for.
If you want to talk about it, go
ahead. Basically, so you know what a tax lien is, right? You pay, and I'm using made up numbers. You pay $10,000 And on June 15th, if they don't pay, the house is yours. But up until June 15th, they have to pay you whatever it is, 10%, whatever the percentage is, um, to catch up, right? So you know that you're going to make a certain percentage in a certain amount of time. And if not, the house is yours. Tax deeds is where a municipality puts the house up there for that same 10,000, but you take ownership of the property right then and there.
Interesting.
Yes.
You're taking it
Yes.
right there.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's an interesting way to do it for sure. That's yeah, you're definitely that's definitely a way to do it. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And again, I was just making up numbers there. Don't take the 10,000 number, but you
Yeah,
know.
no, it's all good. I just think about, I just think about like some little lady who forgot to pay her taxes, but I know it's not like that.
No, 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 no. It's not like that at all. It's, years in the coming. It's not like it just happened yesterday and she missed the 15th payment. It's,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's just you know how it is. Some people, and I know you guys are actually
no.
helping them
So the
stay in their
reason why we
home.
do the tax deeds over the tax liens is because it's clean. The people are already out. The municipality's already foreclosed on it, taking ownership of the property, and they just want to get rid of it. We're not kicking people out. That is not what we like to do. It's that's a
Oh,
big
definitely.
thing,
No, you guys
especially
are
on
helping people
cities.
stay in.
On the mortgage side. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting
Even when
stuff.
we do get a foreclosure, the very few that we do get, we'll try and work with them on getting their mortgage back on track.
Yeah, or maybe doing a short sale for them so they don't have to do a bankruptcy.
Whatever they're looking to do, we'll try and help them out. Yes.
100%. Yeah, I've done a couple short sales for people, and it works out for the people because they don't have a foreclosure on the record, and then for the buyer, they get an under market value property. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then the realtor gets 6%, so it works for everybody except the bank.
Yeah, we've even had it where we paid their moving fees and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. So I want to talk to you about other markets now. So you have this proprietary technology, right? And it's just moving and shaking. I know you guys are doing a lot of stuff in Detroit. I've actually seen a lot of stuff, like people going to work trips in Detroit, and the buildings look nice, and you're overlooking the river in Canada, and it gets a bad rap. So how has it been in another market? So I guess let me break down the question further. So let's say you find a property in Detroit, okay? Do you have specific like 3 different markets where you already have a contractor in place, an inspector in place, like a team in place in these 3 locations? Or
Yeah,
you
so
kind
we're our technology in the states that we're in is 36 different states. It's states like North Dakota, South Dakota, Alaska, Hawaii. There's 2 more that we're not in. I forgot, like Wyoming, like rural states. We're not in but our main areas are Pittsburgh, Detroit, Minneapolis, Chicago, and St. Louis. Those are our 5 main areas. And yes, generally when we got a contractor, we'll stick there. In Detroit, actually, we have several properties. I'm not going to say how many. I forget how many we have, and we just closed on 2 more there. This gentleman connected with the construction manager. They were very religious together. They were loving how they were working together. And the guy's like, actually, I want to grow my business. Can you help me grow my business? So as we were buying more properties, we were giving him the work, and he put more teams on different areas. And he's never segregated his work that way. He's always been on the job with his team. He's always been there and worked with his crew or whatever they call it.
yeah.
So now he's got 2 crews working on 2 different houses, and we finished up on one. We're putting him on the 3rd house. So he's building his business through us, essentially, just because they were both Christian together. I guess that's what the construction manager was telling me.
I mean, if you can connect over religion, I know.
No. I was just laughing with the construction manager. I was like, really? I go, a construction guy, 2 construction guys getting into religion. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's ironic. You don't see that too often. Normally you see them like, they're like, yeah.
That's why I said it the way I did. Like, I have nothing against religion. It's just funny to see 2 construction guys getting into a conversation about religion.
Yeah, you don't see contractors Bible thumping too often. Let's put it that way.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I got you. Okay. All right, cool. So you have the technology and stuff. You have the teams built out in specific markets, which is what I kind of thought you were doing. And it sounds like, and these seem to be where a lot of wholesalers are too. So obviously they're investor hotspots. Detroit, Pittsburgh, Tampa, Jacksonville is another one. Places like that, St. Louis. Actually, I just saw a building sell for a huge discount in St. Louis. I have to fact check that. But I want to segue now. So we talked about how you're finding deals. We talked about how you're kind of working them. Let's talk about raising capital because you are a private equity company, right?
Mhm.
What's been your best source of raising capital? Are you seeing a lot more people come in because the stock market's been wonky? What's been your experience with raising capital?
So I come from Wall Street, as you may or may not know. So that would have been my initial thinking, is going back to like a lot of those people. But believe it or not, the smart ones are okay with it. But when you go to equity guys and you say, because we give 17.5% return on the money, and
Oh, wow.
it's only like a 12-month hold. Our holdings are generally, some are shorter, some are longer. We can go up to 24 months, but because not every deal goes right. And in fact, there's always something that goes wrong in a deal. It just matters how long it's going to go for.
Yeah.
Um, the equity guys don't believe the 17.5%. When you speak to people who are more open-minded and real estate people, they're like, oh, okay, so they're like, that's a lot, but okay, great, I'll take it. And, they run with it. So although some people I've spoken to on the equity side are open to it and love it, I've gotten kind of like a big question mark from the equity guys. So as far as the markets, I'm sure I've gotten some money because of that, but I don't think too much has come specifically from the markets. But I have a team of, I think now I'm up to 7 people. So I started off just working with my network, and
Okay.
then I was hiring guys. Now I'm up to 7 guys, and that's about it. I actually have a right after this. I have
You
a
have 7 guys. Are they reaching out to people? How are they finding these people?
Yeah. So one of my guys, he does everything. He'll cold call. I send him leads. He reaches out to his network, and the guy networks like just how you and I met.
Yeah,
Myself, I'll reach out to my network. I'm out there shaking hands and kissing babies all the time. So
100%.
later tonight, I have a realtor that I met that I'm going and giving a presentation for a bunch of her investors.
Great.
So it's realtors, just always talking about what we do. So coming from Wall Street, I was a big cold caller, and that was the biggest way I built several businesses that way.
Same.
And I've learned that they come and go a lot faster that way. When you speak to your network, they're more
Mhm.
willing to stick with you through the tougher times. And when things are good, then it's really good. Obviously, that's the easy part. But they stick with you through tougher times. So the network's a lot easier to manage, to speak to, and to keep up with all the time.
I love it. That's a clip right there. That's what we're looking for here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
I like
relation,
that.
no, it sounds so cheesy, but it's so true, man. You could cold call somebody 1,000 times and they'll, yes you to death or give you that maybe, which is the worst thing in sales, is the maybe. Or, your network will just either be like yes or no, and there's no in between. It's real quick.
100%. Yeah. And you have that relationship already. So and especially
Yeah.
once you've done a couple deals with people, I'm sure that they're just probably throwing money at you. If they have money, they're probably for a 17.5% return. I mean, come on, if you're doing, and you're holding it for a year, 2 years, I mean,
Yeah.
they probably love you. They're like, come
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Christmas dinner, come to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if they're investing real capital. Last question about the raising capital. Where are you finding leads that are like for these guys to cold call?
We go through this one service that we use, and they give us, he runs ads on Facebook and Instagram and social media,
That makes
and
sense.
he's specifically doing it for into real estate leads.
Got
Are
it.
they the best? Not really, but
They're leads, it's like Zillow leads. It's like any kind of lead is a lead and you call them. It could be for you as a financial advisor, I'm sure you guys get leads as well. And then you got to talk to them,
little.
meet with them. It's leads. I know leads are a dime a dozen, but they are leads. So
Yeah.
so let's talk about the challenges of flipping property. You had a really good video the other day about expectations and how it's not a matter of if something's going to go wrong, but when. So
So the reason why I posted that is because I get so I do a lot of, I wouldn't say seminars, but meetings with realtors and real estate agent offices. And one of the questions I get mostly from realtors is like, what happens when something goes wrong? And it actually surprises me that realtors give this question because they know the field. So it's a little weird to me. And I always say to them, I go, it's not a matter of if something goes wrong, it's what's going to go wrong and what's the, damage going to be. And there, I'm not even joking with you. And I'm not knocking realtors per se. It's just I deal with a lot of them. It's just surprising to me that they ask that question. And no question is a dumb question. Let me just get that straight. There's always great questions, but you know, in a real estate deal, like how many times do you go to closing on a Friday and it's got to get bumped to Monday, then it get bumped to Wednesday, and it gets bumped to Friday just because one of the 15 cogs in the wheel aren't working efficiently. So that's
And a good realtor will actually be able to intercept a problem and
right.
see it beforehand. If it's like, for example, if it's an FHA loan, low down payment, and it's a fixer-upper house with chipping paint and a rail that needs to be missing, you might not want to take that FHA loan. You might want to take a different loan, right?
Right, because FHA loans are very particular, right?
Exactly. The appraiser is going to nitpick every little thing. Whereas if you have a conventional loan with, let's say, Cardinal Financial, obviously it's an unbiased third party appraiser, but they're going to have a little more control over the deal. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. See, and that's my thing with realtors is like, and it's the same thing on Wall Street, but like there's a large percentage that don't know what you just said or wouldn't know to head that off. And then there's a small portion that knows that and they'll say, hey, I saw the paint in there. You might not want to go this route. Hey, you might not want to go that route. You may not want to do this. You may not want to do that. And that's what separates a lot of, I mean, I know that's all everything in business, but I guess you see it more in real estate agents,
Yeah.
more
It's
than
such a
anything.
low barrier of entry to that industry,
Yeah. And I think some people, and I found it a lot more, and I got this a lot on Wall Street, and I still get it to this day, and I'm sure you get it when you're hiring. If I do this part time, what's the minimum I could do it? I'm always like, well, you really can't do it part time. It's, you know,
It's
if you're going to do
actually,
something
you're going
else,
to
you got to
be
start
life
off 3-4
consuming.
days a week.
Yeah.
So it's like surprising to me that people, in this day and age want to start something serious, but yet want to do it, you know, 1 foot out the door.
Yeah. The real estate industry in general, whether you're flipping, whether you're raising money and syndicating deals on big apartment buildings, or just being a real estate agent in your hometown, it is a lifestyle. You have to live, breathe it.
Oh,
If you want to
man.
make, you have to actually love it, live it, breathe it, fucking all day long, every day. And by doing that, you know what you're talking about. You build trust, you build momentum, and then you could really get going. And then you start making money, and then it starts to get fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been really big on I always was just using being a real estate agent as a tool to just own rentals. I just want to own rentals.
And you
And
said that in your video with the when you're on the closing for the property, you said I want to get into real estate invest. I forgot what you said specifically, but you said I'm using it pretty much. It wasn't what you just said, but pretty much that you're using the real estate being a realtor as a tool to become a flipper or
it's
whatever.
exactly what I'm doing. Well, flipping is the same thing. Flipping and being a realtor in the Hamptons is the same thing. Like, I'll give you an example. I had a deal that closed in Watermill, and it was two deals. It was the same client, two deals. I netted 100K, and I bought the house and I'm sitting in with it. So I'm just taking, and same with the flips. This house in Florida, when we flip it, I'm going to take the profit and just buy a rental with that. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to keep on these big rips, like the 30K plus rips. I just take that and I'm just going to buy real estate with it. I'm not going to go buying a new Porsche, or
Yeah.
buying or even doing my own kitchen. I'm going to save that for later, and I'm just going to keep buying up these properties until I have so many rentals coming in that I don't even have to.
You
I could
just sit
be,
back.
yeah, just driving an RV around, making social media videos. you
I
know?
laugh at that because me and my daughter is 14, and the two of us want to rent an RV and drive cross country. And my wife's like, "I'll never be caught in an RV." I'm
What?
like, you could do everything. I go, while one of us is driving, we could be cooking, we could be, whatever you want to do while you're driving. It's fun. You could sleep, you could do whatever. And instead of going on a plane for 6 hours to get somewhere, you're stopping in several destinations.
100. I couldn't agree with you more on
I
that.
think it's
And
amazing.
100%. And you're driving through these towns, and I love driving through like different main streets and seeing what's going on
Yeah.
and the different aesthetics of places. Like, you know what I mean? You could be in Florida, then Louisiana, then Texas, and all these cool places. I just think it's awesome.
See, I know you and I are in New York. I don't know where other people are listening to this, but I think, especially if you live on the coasts, Florida, Texas, and also, like Chicago, I think everybody needs to drive across the country to see what's in the middle of the country. Because I'll tell you, there's two instances that I can give. I met a client in Midland, Texas. And if you don't know, Texas or Midland, Texas, that's where all the oil comes from, the actual wells. So we go to Midland, Texas. He's like, you want to go get something to eat? We're like, yeah, sure. Where are we going? He's like, oh, we'll go to the restaurant. And we're like, I was like, what's the name of it? He's like, yeah, the restaurant. I just thought he was messing with me.
Yeah.
And so we walk across the street and we're walking into right outside the name, the restaurant. Right next to it was called the bar. And then that's all they had there. I mean, there was other buildings, there was other stuff there, there was hotels and stuff, but that's all there was. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is a whole other like level out here. It's just, they get the bare minimum. And then my mother, for a short stint, moved out to Kansas. She lived in Emporia, Kansas, and it was Easter. We're driving to where it was, and we're going down whatever, let's call it the highway. And we made a left to the little town, and I forgot this is how they were. And it was the same thing in Midland, Texas. There's no towns anywhere except for where there's train stops, right? Because that's how it was back in the day. We
Yeah.
pull in and you see all the post office, a couple restaurants, a bar. But as we're pulling up to where the all the buildings were, tumbleweed goes blowing across the street. And I was like, oh my God, I thought this was only in cartoons.
Well, this actually happens in real life.
Yeah. It was like it was amazing to see. And a couple days before that, we went to the I don't know if it was a county fair or a state fair. And before you walk in, I guess this is how they fund it. John Deere had all their tractors set up, and dude, I'm talking tractors where I could stand in the middle of the wheel and stand up straight. I'm, how tall I'm, 6'5".
Yeah, you're a tall guy. Yeah.
Dude, these were huge tractors, and there was 10 or 12 of them. Like they're advertising what they do. And I said to my kids, I go, this is a whole nother type of fair out here.
Oh yeah, they take their tractor seriously out there. I can
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah. But it was fun. People are so nice out in the Midwest. Like they're not, it's not like New York. And I love New Yorkers. I'm not bashing them, but
100%. Midwest people are different in a good way. My
yeah,
sister
very
married a
friendly.
Midwestern guy, super friendly, like you said, Christian, church going. Even my dad's neighbors. So that's a big reason I like the West Coast of Florida. The reason I'm going to between Tampa and Naples is intentional.
Yeah,
Why? Because all the New Yorkers, the Sharks are already on the East Coast. They're there.
yeah,
So I'm going intentionally to the West Coast, not to take advantage of people, but just to bring the New York hustle, like I
right.
did at the Hamptons, because everyone in the Hamptons is so lackadaisical, like the attorneys, especially. It's everyone's lackadaisical, chilling, showing up in board shorts, brought the New York City hustle out here, crushed it. So I'm going down to the West Coast of Florida because it's a bunch of nice, good old boy Midwestern
Yeah,
people that come down there, and I'm going to crush it down there as well.
yeah. One of my wife's friends
Big
lived in
part of it.
Sarasota, and when we were going to visit her, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be like all old people. This was my envisionment, like Golden Girls. And
Yeah.
we got there. I was blown away. I was like, I really like this side of the Florida. I go, people have only said bad things about it. I go, it is beautiful here. It is so nice here. The water's so calm. You have Tampa right there. I never really went too far south, further than Sarasota, but it was so nice in the areas we were in, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, Sarasota is awesome. That's in between. So my dad's in Estero, which is right outside of Naples, which
Uh-huh.
is a very large elderly community. But he's just north of that, and then Sarasota's in the middle of Tampa as well. And it's a nice pocket. I like it
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I don't want
yeah.
to go down to Miami because I already have. I could already be in the Hamptons in New York City. I don't want to do Miami now where it's all the
Same
same
thing. Yeah.
same exact thing. But yeah, but anyway, I mean, I learned a lot from this already. So we talked about the biggest challenges. Oh yeah, let's get into it. So we got off on a tangent a little bit, like you were saying. What's normally the biggest challenge? Okay, so you acquire a property, right? You got an inspection period, so you do inspect your properties, right?
So we'll send out a contractor to give us a scope of work. Depending on what the scope of work is, and we have a good idea before we get into it, but the contractor will usually FaceTime with our construction department, give us an idea of what it looks like. Depending on how much it is, if it's like, let's just call it $150,000 worth of work, we'll also get an inspector out there because we know with the inspector, we'll get the bare bones and the important stuff. And as long as everything matches up, there's not foundational work. Even foundational work we'll get into, but as long as it's not too crazy. But There's
Yeah,
certain things we we'll stay away from, like
try to avoid.
major issues.
Yeah, we had some foundational work come up at the 11th hour with this deal, and we still went through with it. Yeah, because we got the inspection done at the
Yeah, but as
last.
long as it's not major foundational stuff, if it's cracked, you can still work with it. But if it's going down and under, it's
No good.
yeah.
Leaning, yeah. Yeah, but that's that. Okay, how is, just quick question just off the top of my head, how's the construction budgets in like Detroit or Pittsburgh as opposed to New York? Are they much lower?
Yeah, so we have a it's Clear Estimate, I think is the company we use, the technology we use for that. And we'll plug it in. A 2x4 in New York will be, let's just call it $8 a foot. I'm making that up. Don't anybody comment on it. I'm just totally making it up. But then in Detroit, it'll be 650. In Minneapolis, it'll be, $5. In St. Louis, it'll be $4. And it also gives us the cost of labor in the respective areas too.
I like that. That's interesting. And
Yeah.
what's your favorite market to flip in right now?
Right now is Detroit, really.
Right.
It's
What's going
yeah.
on with Detroit? I keep hearing good things, actually.
So I forget his name, the gentleman who owns the Cleveland Cavs and QuickBooks or something. I think that's his name. Dan something. Dan Gilbert, I think is his name. He had
Sounds
gone in there
familiar.
a few years ago, and he grew up in Detroit, and he says it's a shame what's going on. He just started dumping money into there like crazy. He started buying a lot. He actually sat down with the city of Detroit and says, if I'm going to put money into it, you guys have to be putting money into it as well. So, he's been dumping money for offices and bringing up the areas. And because he's doing that, because they started bringing a lot of companies back into Detroit, other than, the ones that have left, like the automotive industry,
Hmm.
uh, it's building it up. So where we're buying it is on the outskirts of Detroit. So we're not in the actual city itself, but you know, literally pennies on the dollar, you could buy a property for, fix it up, and then sell it off for a little bit more. It's not going to be, you're not going to be crushing it, dollar wise or profit wise, I should say. But the amount that you could put into a house and come out on the other side is, I wouldn't say minimal, but it's definitely a lot lower than the average areas.
Yeah, and that makes sense why you want that a certain population per square mile or whatever it is, because you want to make sure that people are going to buy it.
Yeah, well, we deal in $800,000 and down. We want to make sure we're like in that, what you call, well, what we call is like the gen pop area. We want to make sure that there's as many eyeballs on a property, like you just said, as possible. So yeah, that's where the population comes into play. But another thing that we also do, I think we've gotten into this on some of our other conversations, we have a rent to own program where we get
Oh,
individuals or families that don't have, and I always say this, but it's, they don't have bank ready credit scores, basically like 650, 680 and below. Um, as long as they have a W-2 job consistently for the past 3 years, um, we'll get them in there. We'll help them fix their credit score up. Uh, we'll also refer them out to an FHA lender. We'll take a portion of their rent and we'll put it towards the down payment, and then they can get their home when they didn't think they could originally.
is that what you do to make up with stealing people's houses with tax liens?
That's the good side.
No, that's awesome. I would personally never do rent to own just because, of obvious reasons. But I mean, it seems like you guys are really trying to kind of give back to the
Well,
community.
so just a little caveat to that is, I get it, but so Mark started off in the mortgage industry, so he knows how to look at somebody's credit score, just like you knew about the paint and the railing that's falling down. Don't go with an FHA loan.
Right.
He knows what to look for on the credit score and whose credit can get fixed the fastest. So we're not putting somebody in there with hopes that they fix their credit. We're putting somebody in there that they know they have to do it on their own. We have nothing to do it. We refer them out to people we use. They could use whoever they want, but these are the people that are going to get fixed quick. And then we also refer them out to an FHA lender, who, by the way, has already taken a look at their credit and says I can get them approved for a loan.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
no, we're not haphazardly just, hey,
yeah.
you got low credit? Come on in, we'll take it. No, we don't.
You got that look in your eye.
Yeah,
I
we're,
believe
we're
in
doing
you.
we're doing good, but we're not that good.
No, it sounds like you guys are doing great. You have how many employees do you guys have?
So we just made a move to our new office. We had 29,
Oh,
and
wow.
then for some reason, I don't know why, a bunch of we've had a little turnover since we moved offices. I think Mark has gotten a new vision of where he wants the company to be. So he wants people to be a little, he's putting pressure on people. And you know what happens when you turn the pressure up on some people, they just can't take it and they leave. So we had 29. I'm going to say we're close to about 20, 25 because a lot of them got replaced. And then we have a bunch of people coming in next week and then the following week. Our commercial lending is what took the biggest hit recently. Um, so so yeah.
No, but you guys have a serious operation going on.
Yeah.
It's super impressive. Now, last question about the business itself, the lending. So are you guys doing hard, is there any kind, what is hard money lending? Like what?
So whenever you say hard money to somebody, they think it's Rocco down the street with a bat coming after you.
Yeah, like a loan
And
shark? No, it's
yeah,
not
like a
like that.
Shylock or loan shark. Right, right,
Yeah,
right,
it's
right.
asset-based lending.
Yeah, exactly. And it's short term, so you're paying a little bit higher of an interest rate, but usually you're only coming to us if you need us. Banks, especially nowadays, they're getting so strict with stuff. They're not giving out the craziest of terms. And you got to be perfect with them. Like, my house now that I'm in now, my wife's the only one on the loan because she's W-2. I'm 1099.
Yeah.
And a lot of banks won't take 1099. The mortgage guy we work with, he was the best. I think you know him, Tommy with Financial Resources. I forget his last
I'm,
name.
I might know
Anyway,
him if I saw him.
I'm killing it right now with that. But
No,
he's out in your neck of the woods, but he's one of the best guys because he thinks outside the box. He's a very straight shooter, and he gets the job done for you, which I feel like a lot of lenders don't do, or a lot of banks don't do these days because they're so afraid because of what happened in 2009 when that's 2007, that's one huge extreme, and there's a whole other population in the world that aren't W-2 employees, and I think it's going to start moving away from that too. As more millennials are coming out there, and like my kids like are Gen Z, and just the way my daughter thinks and the way my son thinks, I think it's a little bit different of a mentality than even my generation.
interesting. But with the hard money loans specifically, so
Sorry, I went off on a whole tangent.
no,
yes.
it's all good. You do that, but it's okay.
Yeah, I am so
I'm learning.
bad.
No, you
and
are.
my son has ADD or ADHD, like he's got a serious diagnosis with it. And me and my wife are always like, I wonder where he gets it from. And then I'm in conversations with people, and they're going this way, and I'm going that way. And I'm like,
no, but it's okay. No, but it's totally okay because I'm learning. I'm writing notes down. I mean, you guys, you're running a pretty big operation. So
it's so hard money
is
or
it just
commercial
people
lending.
with money? Is it just
What?
people with money just being like, okay, I'll lend this? Is there regulation?
So we have warehouse lines of credit. We have individuals. We have institutions. There's different. We lend our own money. So there's different pockets we can go to depending on the type of loan that it is, and we'll give it out, to whoever we need to. If we take it, we'll take it. For crazier or more complex loans, we got to give it out to an institution because they can handle that a little bit better than we can.
Right.
But it depends on what it is. So it's, do we have to get them the lowest rate? Do we have to get it based off of, other properties that they own? Do they not want their name on it? Do they have no experience? Do they have a lot of experience? So depending on what it is how we give it out. And like I was saying, it is, short term, meaning like 12, 18, 24 months. You're usually calling us, for a specific need or want, and we could base it off of other assets. And there's not as many restrictions as banks have, and we can get you close. As long as the client is working with us, we can get you closed pretty quickly.
100%. And then for the loan itself, is there regulation? Like, let's say I had $1 million in the bank, right? And you wanted a loan for 80% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab, and it was a 200K purchase and a 50K rehab. So you wanted a $250,000 loan. If I have $1 million, can I just lend you 250K with a 12% return and 2 points?
Yeah.
It's just based on like a promissory note or something.
Yeah, as long as you have a contract for it, you're good. I mean, you don't technically, if it's just you don't need it.
Right. But if I wanted to loan hard money in the future, I'm saying.
Yeah, no. Yeah. You just need like put a business together. There's no regulation for it.
Interesting.
As long as you're not going over the usury laws, which is I think 18 or 24% or something like that, which that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
you have to justify
the rate.
what you're charging for. And the reason why you charge more is the credit not as good? Do they not have, the experience? Is it, shorter term? So, You may not be making as much money as, let's say you charge 10% and it's only 8 months, you're not going to get the full 10%. So it's
Interesting.
different things.
That's very interesting. Okay. All right. Well, listen, this has been amazing. I really appreciate you hopping on. Is there anything else you guys are working on? Anything new, cool, exciting you guys got going on that you want to talk about?
No, nothing too crazy aside from our development deals are the ones that are starting to pop up like crazy of recent. I
Oh,
just thank the dear Lord that they're even talking about lowering interest rates. Whether
yeah.
they do or they don't, just keep talking about it and things start going, it
I
keeps
know.
going.
I know. Believe me, it's long overdue. I saw the inflation report came out.
3.5%.
Yeah, it didn't look great, but look, it is what it is. I try not to even look at things. Because I'm a mindset guy, so I would try to say no matter what the rate is, the economy is, I'll always persevere. But oh man, I looked at when I was looking to refinance this deal in Florida, I was like, oh man, if it was just like a 5.5% rate, it would cash flow like
Yeah,
$1,000 a
yeah,
month. It
yeah,
would
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah, yeah.
beautiful, but you know,
Yeah, but you got to. So here's another thing: you have to, we're really at 30-year averages for the rates right now. Although from 2%, it's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
So like you said, you were saying 5%. 2 years ago, if you said 5%, what would somebody say to you? They'd be like, "Get out of here,
Yeah,
2%,
I'm not
five
paying
percent. What are you
five. Yeah.
crazy?" Yeah, 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 yeah. Now you're hoping for 5%.
Oh yeah.
So it's just number one, it's perception. Listen, I get that it's tougher coming out of your pocket when you got to take out. Same thing with us. We have the same thing. Rates are a little bit higher. We're actually talking about lowering our 17.5% rate probably by the end of the year. To if these rates stay here, we're going to have to lower it to 15% or so, which
Which
is
is
still
still a good
high.
return.
Yeah,
Still
yeah,
a
yeah,
great
yeah,
Come
yeah, yeah.
on. Yeah. It's a
But
great
because
return.
we're small, we don't have a name. Like a Blackstone or other huge REITs out there, we have to pay a little bit more just to attract some more people. But
Right.
we're even talking about lowering it to fit. Mark's like, lower it now. I'm like, I can't just lower it now, like willy nilly. We got to have like a plan in place to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so rates are pretty much going to stay where they are. I think maybe come down a little bit, but I don't really see them going anywhere anytime soon. To be honest with you.
I know. Unfortunately, I agree, but I do like the way that you worded that, the way it was just perception. And then, I mean, you had a good way of wording that. And I'm going to end that with the last question is any tips for the young sales guys coming up now, maybe just getting started, things like that, because you're obviously very savvy. You're now the president of a big company. Any tips for the young man out there or woman getting
No,
started?
just and I think I said this to you on our first call after the dinner was what you do, the way you hustle is the way you got to go after your gut. If you love what you do, just do everything you can to be as successful as you are. Don't leave any stone unturned. Go out there, talk to everybody you know, tell everybody what you're doing, speak about what you do on an everyday basis, whether it's you're selling them, just telling them what you're doing, or you're educating them. It's, go out there and hustle. And when I was growing up, hustling was like you were a scam artist, and then I came to learn that hustling was more like you just do whatever you can just to make money, and it's actually a good term. So I use it all the time. And if you're young, go out there and hustle your ass off and do what you can to be as successful as you possibly can, whatever that means to you. I don't mean I'm not putting a limit on it. It's whatever you got to do. Just go out there and hustle, and always speak about what you do.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, Rob, it's been amazing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking time out of your day to
Thanks for
speak to
having
me.
me, man.
Yeah, of course. So hopefully we got some clips out of this. Hopefully we provided some value for the audience listening. And Rob, tell them where to find you.
Yeah, we're if you go on LinkedIn, you find me, Robert Costomiris, or you can go to our website, myoym.com. I'll spell that because nobody knows how to spell it. It's MIOYM, like mirror image of your mind.com. And that's it.
Gotcha. All right, Rob. Well, listen, thank you so much for hopping on. Have a great day and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks.